So, creative energy. Whew, that's that's a rough one, right? I think since my previous full-time job, which was like last year, if you've seen my video about my experience at Buck, that was like my last full-time, and yeah, it has been like kind of like a difficult thing to kind of like have this energy to create things, right? Especially if you have been like creating things for other people for so long, everything is just so strictly structured for you to do, and you just follow the process and you don't realize that, hey, what happens after that's gone? And that's essentially what happened on my side. I got burned out because I was like searching for the next thing. Unless you've been living under the rock, you've realized that we are kind of living in a very automated society right now. Thus, yeah, I was thinking, oh, I need to learn Framer, I need to learn Figma, I need to learn Rive, I need to learn this, I need to learn that. So the list kept on growing. At some point, I got burned out, and then I realized, you know what? Let's just take a complete setback from all of this design slash creative industry, you know, and search for a part-time job that pays the bills, because I have the possibility to do that right now, so that I could figure out how to sculpt this new path forward. So yeah, the painting you're about to see is called The Balanced Canvas, or The Balanced Reality. I'm still a working title, where I try to figure out how to balance this new life. And yeah, it was also the reason I'm talking about this very topic, because it is what got me back to making things again. So, a little bit of synopsis of the burnout. I think, as I mentioned, if you're just doing work for someone else, you kind of forget what it was like just creating work for yourself, or what it was like creating work that you really found fascinating to do, like what got you started into designing, into drawing, into illustrating, and all this stuff. I will leave the painting on the screen somewhere, so you can actually see what I'm doing while I talk about this creative energy thing. And yeah, so I needed a period to just rest and recover in order to get that energy, in order to get that energy back, right? So that meant taking long walks, talking to other people, and reading a lot. Sometimes even writing, because if you just consume, you also forget what it means to create. And yeah, there was a period I was actually just doing that. You just stuck behind your screen and just exploring and overthinking and all this stuff, and that also I ended up being able to just explore other avenues, such as like trying for merch, for example. Like, this is me trying that out, which was like this whole abstract pixel branding stuff. um it didn't pan out into something in which I could sustain myself, of course. I think this was just a curiosity to see what it is like to build your own t-shirts, to build your own hoodies. Of course, this was also working with print on demand services. Thus, yeah, unfortunately that closed down, so I stopped with actually trying it out. But it gave me more perspective on the cons and pros, especially the amount of work that requires to continuously market these works. There was also posters, not specific posters, but prints, which I tried to do as well. But that too requires a whole different way of, market about market. No, that too requires a whole different way of marketing the work. So yeah, I didn't continue with that either. But maybe I will get back to this one, because I think there is a potentiality here. And yeah, I also tried just exploring pressure painting canvas, but this is like where I think I want to talk about, which is like the duality between performing for client work and performing for yourself, and leaving something more as a hobby. Because for me, even though I have like all these painting gears and stuff, I realize that I'm not per se a person that wish to survive based off only selling painting wares. And God forbid, it's even more difficult to do that, just selling painting canvases, unless you really are really, well known. But you can't really survive just selling painting canvases alone. So for me, it's like more of an avenue for rejuvenating, recovering, like exploring something off of the screen, right? And yeah, and compared to digital, which allows a much more efficient slash um, less usage of materials to produce work, which is the problem we are now facing with the whole AI thing. Because AI is automating the process and thus like it eliminates all of this. Yeah, you get the idea. So what really helped them with recovering this creative energy is to really define what you want to leave as hobby work and what you really want to continue pursuing as a professional work, right? Because to me, I live between design and artistic practice, right? So it is important to define what do I wish the artistic practice to be and what do I want the design practice to be, right? Which direction do I want to steer myself into? Especially when it was always about using the creation energy for making things for someone else within a predefined, conditions without thinking about what's after that, like let's say you get laid off, the company closed down. Who are you as a creative person? Are you a brand designer? Are you a motion designer? Are you a coder? And if you are one of these or any of the title you pick, which direction you are heading towards to? Are you more of a tech person, or are you more for like future forward kind of topics, or more about sustainability, etc., etc.? And if you are within that sector, what are the actual possibilities for you to survive, right? Because we kind of are living in a capitalistic society. So you need to kind of pick in which form you're earning your income in order for you to survive and provide for yourself and for your family, right? So this is what I mean also with creative energy, right? It is inevitable that you might lose your creative energy if you do work for someone else for years on years on end without thinking about for yourself. So creative energy requires you to have periods of rest so that you can continue to use that creative energy to make new design work, to make new painting, as illustration, etc., etc. There is only one problem we face now is of course you need to start thinking about how and where and what you will do with this energy in order to provide for yourself. Because not everyone, unfortunately, will be able to sustain himself through paintings, designs, and so on and so forth in the face of automation, right? And lastly, I think it is important for us to remember what it means to reflect, what it means to rest, as I said, and what it means to just take things from the archive and put it into fruition and see what happens, right? It is only through doing that we can figure out if what we're doing will energize us or not, right? Not for someone else, but for what's going on here, you know? So the moral of all the story throughout this whole topic is to take the time for you to rest in order to rejuvenate yourself back and leave things as hobby if you wish to let it remain as a hobby. Not everything needs to be turned into content for someone to consume for you to feel better or for you to feel good. It's okay if design work remains more as work than turning it into this whole content production kind of thing, and vice versa. It's okay if art remains more as work for you, etc., etc. And be humble with yourself because not everyone can sustain himself through creative or artistic practice. It's okay if you have a part time job to sustain that side of the practice, which is basically what I'm doing now. I have a part time job to pay the bills while I try to figure out things on the side as a part-time freelancer. So yeah, this is it, you know, and yeah, hopefully you realize that there's a lot more in front of you than you have thought that could allow you to actually get your energy back. That's in your means, you know, and yeah. Thank you for watching. I hope this was helpful, one shape or form. Maybe I've turned into a yapping session, but yeah. And as always, continue making, continue drawing, continue sketching, try making cool stuff in your own little way. Thank you for listening. Until next time. Peace. With that, let's get back to the drawing board. Bye bye for now.
Open minds in a cage, hungry hearts in a rage.